Hi, welcome. Yesterday I had a very short video about the rigid weft weaving, and I showed you the actions as I was traveling across the robe. So today I'll show you how to do a rigid weft entry, and then I'll also show you what I'm doing with my borders and how I carry. I'll enter a rigid weft entry at the very edge, and then I'll carry it through my borders, and then I'll go below and create the blue border below the copper shields. So welcome, and let's start weaving. Okay, so I entered these two blue weavers here, wrapping around and pairing the side cord. Now I'm going to be weaving the 3 warps here, and I already did the braids, the vertical braids. So now it's time to do a rigid weft entry. So I have a length of black yarn, and I'm going to grab it around the blue yarn. So just as simple as that, if you can see that. Okay, so my next color will be black. So I want to bring the blue behind the black. And so I brought both blues behind that one warp. And I only went behind one because it will break that pair above. So I went behind one, pushed the blue behind, and then forward. So now I have 2 blacks in the front of that one warp, and then I have 2 blues in the back of that one warp. So I'm going to grab the top black and the top blue, and I'm going to go around that black and bring the blue back. Now notice I left those dangling and loose, and I didn't do anything with them. I just picked up the top black and the top blue. I'm going to do a few slip knots. The slip knot technique is described in, I believe, both of Cheryl Samuel's books, the Raven's Tail as well as the Chilkat book. So I just take my finger and I create a loop. Then I take that same finger and bring it up through the loop, grabbing the yarn and slide it down. Okay, that's that. So then I'm going to take, I already did the braid, the switching of these braids. So I'm going to come to the edge of the black border, and it looks like the last twine is going to include just one. And on the black, and these tails of the vertical braid, I'm going to grab the black, the white, and the copper on the black side. And then I'm going to go into the blue, and I'll enclose the white, black, and blue vertical tails. And now I know I need to do 4/4 here in the center of this design. So I'm going to grab the 2 and then 2, and then I'm going to grab 4 and 4. And like I said, I've been weaving for many, many years, and the spider web is a weave that I enjoy doing, and I've taught it and I've wove it for many years, and so I pretty much have it memorized. But it's really important if you're starting out to graph it yourself, and then always watch your graphs. Okay, so I also love the tree shadow, and I do that often, and so I'm pretty sure that I can figure out what is the next row to do here. So I've got over 4 blue, over 4 blue, and over 4 black, and then over 2 black. Because this has not got a point, right? So there's a few rows that stop right there and give it a blunt forward there. I guess a blunt arrow, I guess you'd call it. Okay, so I went over 4 here, I can see that. So I want to make sure that I go over 2 and over 2. And that is so every other row, if it's over 4, then the next row is over 2, and that helps the that squishing that can sometimes happen when you have over 4 constantly. Then it would squish if you didn't do that. Okay, so I've woven all the way to this point, and now I know I want to start doing the rigid weft here. So I'm going to drop these pairs, and I'm going to go over here and pick up the pair that I dropped a while ago. And remember I had gone over 1 with that first 2-strand pair. So this time I'm going to bring that blue behind 2 so that I'm breaking that pair above. And again, I will travel across the black border, pushing the blue behind. And this is a technique that some people use that isn't, you wouldn't call this the rigid weft technique. It's what you're doing is you're pulling forward the color that you want and making the color you don't want go behind. Okay, so I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to pick up the vertical braid tails there, and here I'm going to take those 2. Okay, let me slip knot the black again, and the slip knot is just there to keep your yarn from snagging up and being cumbersome. The long length can be shortened by slip knots. Okay, so I see from this pattern that I did over 4 over 4. So now I need to go in, and I'm just going to go over 4 on the central 4 warps. So this is over 2, this is over 2, this is over 2. Then I'm going to go over 4, and then over 2, over 2. And this one is over 4 black, and then over 4 blue, being very careful not to squish. If you do end up squishing, it's like really causes trouble further down on your robe. So be very careful not to crowd your warps there when you're doing the over 4 of your pattern. Okay, so I have got I've got these pair of 2 colors, and let me flip them up and out of the way, and then I'm going to come here and I'm going to go over 4. So I have 2 black weavers and 2 blue weavers here. Now I want the blue to be in the front. So I'm going to take these 2 black weavers and the 2 blue. So then I'm taking the blue and it's going to wrap around that black. And then, oh, no, it's not going to wrap around. It's going to go, I'm going to bring that black across the last 4 of the pattern warps. And then it's going to go behind 2 and up. So you see I have 2 blues in the front, and I've pushed those black braids, both of them, into the back. Okay, so now I'm going to take the top blue and the top black again, and I'm going, oh wait, no. I'm going to take the top blue and both of those blacks. So both of these blacks are going to be carried at the same time as the rigid weft in the back. So I'm taking the one blue, the top blue yarn, and it's going to wrap around, the black is going to go wrap around, it's going to go over the blue weaver and behind 2 and up. Now I have this blue, and remember in a previous video, I had made sure to tell you that this blue yarn is going to go up. I throw it up over my loom, then I come here and I'm going to pick up this blue, and it's going to travel over to where the rigid weft is sticking out. And the rigid weft is going to go over the blue and be back behind the next 2. Now this one is my lower weaver, my lower blue weaver, and I'm going to just drop it. Now I'm going to pick up the upper yarn, the upper blue, and then go behind 2 and up. Now this one goes over to where that black rigid weft pair are, and then the black rigid weft is going to go over the blue and then back to the back and behind 2 and up. So there you go. I've explained how to enter and start a rigid weft entry, and the actual rigid weft weaving across. And it's essentially like when you're weaving, if you watch this, it goes slow, but it's as if you're weaving actually 2 rows. And really, essentially, you did weave 2 rows. You took one of the pairs and you brought it here and it waited for its other pair. Then you picked it up, back over here, and you wove here. So essentially, I did 2 rows here before I started this rigid weft. Now I'm traveling and I'm handling these rigid weft weavers as if I am weaving 2 rows. And they actually take up as much space as 2 rows. So tension is important. You still don't want any black to show up in your border of blue. So I do want to say a couple things about the blue. I think I said it earlier that there was a English fur trade ship that had a artist on board, but he actually wasn't an artist. He was the surgeon, and his name was Sigmund Backstrom. And he painted 8 portraits of Haidas, and quite a few of those portraits featured a blue robe. And so that's what got me wanting to paint this beautiful, or to weave this beautiful blue. Another thing that in my research that I have found is that in the ancient times, before contact, our chiefs often wore 2 robes. And so that was a tradition that got dropped and was pretty much forgotten. So when I was reading the myths and the stories and also the explorers' journals, it just kept on coming up that people wore 2 robes. And I've got a theory about why they wore 2 robes, but I'll wait for another time to share that with you. So anyway, there we go. Make sure that you always keep the lower one down and the upper one up. And then you'll have a nice consistent texture with this this little thin blue border. Okay. Thank you. Bye.